start in the second row here on the left.
Aaron, I know you don't want to get into specific details on this, but obviously your contract is up at the end of the season. Without going too deep into it, is your desire to remain in Philly beyond this season?
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. I love it here. Obviously, it's the only place I've been, and I've came up through some special times, right, in the rebuilding era, and getting to witness and be a part of a lot of different type of teams. And to be on a team like we are, like I am now, it's really cool and special to see and to be a part of all the success and failures to get to where we are now.
On the far left, in the middle.
Aaron, why had you been hesitant earlier in your career to use the slide step that you've been using over the last month?
Well, I used it in 2016. After 2015, I incorporated it kind of in my regular delivery, so it kind of messed my mechanics up a little bit. So tried to be too quick to the plate and ended up kind of hurting my arm. And in 2017, that next year after I rehabbed, I just kind of went to a traditional slide step every now and again. And after that year, I just told myself I was just going to focus on holding runners on and cut out the slide step, because I feel like I could get better at holding the ball a lot, picking over, working on my pickoff move, and just kind of messing up their timing and keeping them close to first base. And I feel like once the pitch clock came, it made things a little more challenging, because those years I really did rely on holding the ball a lot and picking over a lot. So obviously guys are stealing, bases are bigger, and I knew I could incorporate what I used to do back in 2017. I just had to do it and get comfortable with it again. So I feel like over, oh gosh, I don't know how long I've been doing it, maybe since the All-Star break, a little bit after the All-Star break, it's become more comfortable. And I mean, the most important thing is being able to repeat the slide set while making a good pitch and focusing on making a good pitch.
And just how important do you think the running game is going to be in this series?
Very important. D-backs can run. They have a lot of fast guys. I know that, and we all know that. They like to steal bags. They like to bunt. They like to put pressure on the pitcher.
Tyler, on the left.
Aaron, you talked about the tough times here, your first few years with the Phillies. What do you remember about when they signed Bryce Harper and what that signified, and also what your impressions were of him as a teammate that you couldn't have known about as an opponent?
Obviously, I knew who Bryce Harper was, played against him for a few years, pitched against him, and very good player, right? MVP. And to know that he wanted to come to Philadelphia to bring back a championship one day was awesome, because we were in a big rebuilding phase. And to get that guy here, we knew that we were on a track to not rebuild, to get over that hump again. And obviously we made a couple other big signs with JT a couple years after that. And I mean, where we've come since then it's pretty amazing. And like I said, it's been really cool to be a part of. I feel like not many players really get to go through the rebuilding phase all the way until like a team we are now. So it makes me appreciate it a lot.
What about your impressions of him now versus as an opponent?
Oh man, it's playing with Bryce. It kind of amazes me all the time. I remember his first week up here in 2019. He kind of like struggled his first few games, and then one game I could be wrong, but it looked like he did 3 different batting stances and went like 3 for 4 with 2 homers. I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty special, man. He can do a lot of things different ways, and obviously he loves the big moment. He's a superstar. He thrives in those moments. So it's cool to see his everyday go-abouts and like what he's doing now or what he has done, moving to first base and coming back early from Tommy John. But aside of that, I think the coolest thing that I see from him all the time is how he plays the game, how hard he plays the game, and how much he hustles. I mean, see the guy hit a single through the hole, stretch into a double all the time. And sometimes we're like, no, don't go. And then he always makes it. So I love that part about him. He plays the game so hard, and that's why he's so good.
Paul, on the left side in the middle.
Aaron, going back to last year, NLDS, NLCS, World Series, NLDS this year, all started on the road. You guys split, came home 1-1. That's kind of seen as an advantage. Does it feel weird starting a series at home, and is there pressure to maybe start 2-0 because you know what kind of momentum they can get if you go back to Arizona 1-1?
I mean, I guess it really doesn't feel super weird. I feel it's great that we get to start the series off at home. Obviously, we all love playing here at this time of year, and our fan base is immaculate right now. And I mean, the more home field advantage you get, the better. But Wheels is going to go out and compete tonight and give us a chance to win like he always does, and try to start this series off on a good note. And we know that D-backs are hot right now, and they're a good team. So no matter where we are, here or there, it's going to be a dogfight, and we're ready for it.
Right here in the second row.
Aaron, I mean, when you started your career, this team wasn't very good. A lot of lean years. I mean, was there a time where you were like, I don't want to be here. I want to go somewhere where I think I can win, and this place isn't it.
No, I never really had that. I mean, I signed my contract going into 2019, so I obviously wanted to be here. I love the organization and all the staff and the players, and obviously each year better players came through, better guys coming through, forming new relationships. So obviously I love that part about it.
Jesse on the left side towards the aisle.
Aaron, I want to examine the word pressure. Came up before. Bryce kind of waved it off. Rob Thomson kind of did as well. But it might be the first time in the 2 years that you guys are like the overwhelming favorites for whatever that's worth. But do you feel it a little bit that, okay, we've got to finish this deal off this round, next round? What's that like in there?
Not really. I haven't heard one guy talk about something like that. I mean, I feel like we don't really think of it as pressure, right? Each game is so big and matters so much. That's kind of what we focus on, is one game at a time. And we'll do that tonight. And everything's so heightened in the playoffs, obviously, right? So I feel like being in the moment, and in this moment, kind of takes over, and everything else you kind of put aside.
The back left.
Aaron, we've heard Bryce talk about dealing with the pressure in the moment and all that, and he says, well, you know, I was in big games when I was 10 or whatever. Where do you think it came from for you to be a guy who's somewhat emotionless on the mound, and to kind of keep everything in check and to not sort of wear your heart on your sleeve?
I feel like I've always been kind of like that, and my brother's like that, so I always wanted to be like my brother. And so I never really showed emotion just because he never shows emotion. And I feel like it's worked for me, and it's helped me out to never get too high, never get too low. But I feel like LSU kind of prepared me a little bit for that. And we had some big crowds for college baseball, and being in the postseason over there 3 times and getting to Omaha for us was a big deal. And I feel like that helped a little bit, just playing in front of the big crowds. And then coming over here, obviously. And then last year was obviously different, right? But it makes it fun. I mean, the more fans, the better. It makes it that much more fun, especially when you go through a 2020 season where you have no fans. It's just different. So I think that part of the game, it's fun, and you like being on that stage, and it's what we train for and to prepare our minds for, because you have to go back and think about what you've done and what makes you good and what you've had success with. And for myself, if I stay in that moment and believe that and believe I can get through things in certain situations, it can happen.
And last one's for Aaron. We'll take one more up in the front.
And when you guys eliminate the Marlins, you leave this press conference, and moments later, your wife drops that you guys are expecting a child on Instagram. How has that added to everything you're going through this year, and how much are you, I guess, looking forward to that?
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. It's exciting. I feel like every guy on the team's got kids. We're the lone survivors out there. No, but we're definitely excited and to welcome a new one into our family, and I don't know. It's just it's a good time, and I feel like because I see so many kids running around the clubhouse and guys with their sons and daughters. So it's pretty cool to see, and it's definitely a blessing to welcome one in soon.
How you doing, Rob?
How are you?
Good. We'll get started with Rob Thomson. First question for Rob. We'll start with JP in the middle on the left.
Thanks, Rob. What were the key considerations that you had in putting the roster together, obviously looking at Reese as well?
Yeah, Reese just isn't quite ready yet. So we decided to go with the same roster as the last roster, and so it's 13 and 13, and we'll go from there. Seemed to work out pretty good. They got a lot of right-handed hitting in their lineup, so Lorenzen's on, Ty's on, we'll go.
A few more for Rob. Paul on the left.
Rob, the running game has been a big part of what you guys have done so far. Moreno's really slowed it down for the D-backs. How much does that change your game plan? Are you guys still going to look for your spots? Maybe take it off the pitchers more? Yeah, it's more off the pitchers anyway, and Moreno can really throw. He can really defend. So we got to take that into consideration, obviously. But if we see the right matchup, we'll turn it loose.
Over here on the right side.
To follow up on Reese, what boxes does he still need to check?
Just some timing, turns on the bases looked just a little bit tentative for me, and just talking with him and talking through it, we just felt it was just safer just to hold off for a minute and see if we can get him if we move on. Hopefully we move on to the next series and have him available then.
And lineup wise, Boom's been scuffling a little bit, and Castellanos is obviously as hot as he could be. Any thoughts of flip-flopping them back in the order?
Yeah, we talked about it, but at the end of the day, you got to trust that Boom's going to get it going. And I really like the way our lineups, the length of our lineup with Castellanos, JT and Castellanos in 6 and 7. I think it produced some problems for the other team.
Here in the front on the right.
Rob, if I may follow up one more on Reese. Overall, how do you think he's doing in terms
Remarkable. I mean, really remarkable. So we thought there might be an outside chance for this series, but the work that he's done to get where he's at right now, because he's really close, the work that he's done and our training staff have done, it's really remarkable where he's at.
Tyler on the left.
Rob, I know you were coach here when the Phillies got Wheeler, but what was the sense among the organization or you personally that made you guys think that Wheeler was ready to take that next step to that ace level that he's reached here?
Well, I wasn't really part of the roster construction, so I was happy to get him because I knew the talent, but I didn't really understand how good he was until I saw him on a daily basis. The way the power that he's got, the command that he's got, the stuff that he's got, the competitor that he is. You don't see that when you're a visiting team or an opposing team. So when you see him on a daily basis and you really see all these intangibles that he's got, he's really something. It's a great sign.
Over here in the front on the right.
The players will often talk about trying to keep things as normal as possible, like the regular season. How about for you? Do you have that mindset, or do you have to actually change things up somewhat?
I'm the most routine-oriented guy you'll ever see in your life, so nothing changes for me.
JP in the middle on the left.
Rob, we know how much Bryce cares about the game and how intense he is, but how have you also seen as time has gone on him be able to have that calm in the big moments as well and execute in October?
Yeah, it's really remarkable, the numbers that he's put up. I think in the playoff games that he's had here, 350 in 22 games, he's hitting 350 with 8 or 9 home runs and 18 or 19 RBIs. I mean, those are Hall of Fame numbers. And to be able to do that, and so you get into the playoffs and you're facing the best